While the whole world knew Michael Jordan as the greatest basketball player ever, they didn't know about Elena Martinez. They didn't know she was the one who found him crying in an empty gym after he got cut from the basketball team. They didn't know she sat in the bleachers every single day, cheering for a skinny kid everyone said was too small to play. And they definitely didn't know about the promise he made under an old oak tree. When I make it big, I'm coming back for you. I'm going to give you something beautiful. But here's the thing, Michael did make it big. He won 6 championships. He became a legend. And for 43 years, he carried a photograph of teenage Elena in his wallet. Never threw it away, never forgot her. So why did it take him so long to come back? And what happened when he finally knocked on her door? Well, the woman who answered wasn't Elena. It was a young woman in her 20s who stared at him in shock and whispered, "You're Michael Jordan. My mother said you'd never come back." But that's just the beginning of this story. Because when Michael finally saw Elena again, she wasn't the healthy, happy girl from his memories. She was fighting for her life in a hospital bed, and she was hiding a secret that would change Michael's entire world. What was that secret? What was the beautiful gift Michael promised her all those years ago? And did Elena survive long enough to receive it? Stay with us through this entire story to find out. Because what happens next will make you believe in second chances, true love, and promises that last a lifetime. This is the incredible true story of how Michael Jordan kept a promise 43 years in the making. The black SUV rolled slowly down Market Street in Wilmington, North Carolina, its tinted windows hiding the man inside. Michael Jordan gripped the steering wheel tighter than he ever gripped a basketball. His hands were sweating. He was nervous. Michael Jordan, 6-time NBA champion, 5-time MVP, the greatest basketball player who ever lived, was nervous about knocking on a door. It was a quiet September morning. The sun was just starting to warm the old brick buildings downtown. Michael had left Charlotte at 5 in the morning, driving alone through the darkness. No security guards, no assistants, no cameras, just him and his memories, and one old photograph. He pulled into the parking lot of a small hotel on 3rd Street. The desk clerk, a young man with thick glasses, barely looked up as Michael checked in under the name James Mitchell. Michael kept his baseball cap low and his sunglasses on, even though they were inside. "Room 212, the clerk said, sliding a key card across the counter. "Checkout is at 11. "Thank you," Michael said quietly. In his room, Michael sat on the edge of the bed and pulled out his wallet. His fingers found the photograph tucked behind his credit cards. He'd carried it for 43 years. The photo was worn at the edges, faded with time. It showed 2 teenagers at a school dance. The boy was tall and skinny, all arms and legs, wearing a jacket that was slightly too big. The girl was small and pretty, with dark hair and the brightest smile Michael had ever seen. 8th grade, 1978. Michael traced his finger over the girl's face. Elena Martinez, his first love, his first everything. He remembered the promise he'd made to her under the old oak tree behind Laney High School. He was 15 years old and she was holding his hand, telling him that one day he'd be the greatest basketball player in the world. "When I make it big," he told her, "I'm coming back for you. I'm going to give you something beautiful, something that shows you what you mean to me." Elena had laughed, her eyes shining. "You're going to forget all about me, Mickey." "Never," he promised. "I could never forget you." But life had other plans. College came. Basketball consumed everything. The NBA, championships, fame, marriage, divorce, another marriage, another divorce. Years melted into decades, yet he never threw away the photograph. 5 years ago, after his second divorce, Michael hired a private investigator. It took 18 months, but they found her, Elena Martinez, still in Wilmington, still using the same last name, still unmarried. Michael wanted to come right away, but something held him back. Fear, maybe. Shame that he'd waited so long. The worry that she'd moved on, that she wouldn't remember him the way he remembered her. But 3 weeks ago, the investigator called with news that changed everything. News that made Michael realize he couldn't wait another day. Now here he was, sitting in a cheap hotel room, working up the courage to do what he should have done 40 years ago. Michael changed into jeans and a plain white t-shirt. Nothing fancy, nothing that screamed Michael Jordan. He wanted Elena to see him, not the legend. He drove across town to Garden Avenue. The neighborhood was modest, small houses with neat yards, old cars parked on the street, kids' bikes lay on front lawns. An old man watered his flowers and waved as Michael drove past. Number 847. A pale yellow house with white shutters. The paint was peeling a little, and the porch sagged slightly on one side, but flowers bloomed in the window boxes. Michael parked across the street. His heart pounded in his chest like it did before the final shot of a championship game. But this was bigger than basketball. This was everything. He walked up the cracked sidewalk, climbed the 3 wooden steps to the porch, raised his hand to knock. He hesitated. What if she slammed the door in his face? What if she was angry that he'd stayed away so long? What if the door opened before he could knock? A young woman stood there, maybe 23 or 24 years old. She had dark hair pulled back in a ponytail and Elena's exact same eyes. She wore nurse's scrubs and held a coffee mug that said, "World's Best Mom." She froze when she saw him. The mug slipped from her fingers and shattered on the porch floor. Hot coffee splashed everywhere, but she didn't seem to notice. She whispered, her voice shaking. "You're Michael Jordan." Michael nodded slowly, not trusting his voice. The young woman's eyes filled with tears. Her hand went to her mouth. "My mother," she said, her words barely audible. "My mother said you'd never come back." 1978, Laney High School, Wilmington, North Carolina. 14-year-old Michael Jordan sat alone in the empty gymnasium, his back against the cold concrete wall. Tears ran down his cheeks, but he didn't bother wiping them away. Nobody was there to see him cry anyway. The varsity basketball list was posted on Coach Lynch's door. Michael had checked it 5 times, his finger running down every single name. His wasn't there. Cut. He'd been cut from the team. "You're too small, Jordan," Coach Lynch had said that afternoon. "Maybe next year. Work on your game." Too small. Too skinny. Not good enough. Michael pulled his knees to his chest and buried his face in his arms. Basketball was everything to him. It was the only thing he was good at. The only thing that made him feel special. Now even that was gone. "Why are you crying?" Michael's head snapped up. A girl stood near the gymnasium door. He'd never seen her before. She had long dark hair, brown eyes, and she wore a denim jacket covered in patches. "I'm not crying," Michael lied, quickly wiping his face with his sleeve. The girl walked closer. She didn't look like she believed him. "You are crying. It's okay. I cry all the time." "I don't know you," Michael said defensively. "I'm Elena Martinez. I just moved here last week." She sat down on the floor next to him without asking permission. "I don't know anyone either." Michael studied her. She had a slight accent he couldn't quite place. "Where did you move from?" "Puerto Rico, San Juan. My mom wanted a fresh start after my dad died." "Oh." Michael didn't know what to say to that. "I'm sorry." "It's okay. It was last year. I still miss him every day." Elena pulled her knees up like Michael had, mirroring his position. "So why were you crying?" Michael hesitated. Then the words just tumbled out. "I got cut from the basketball team. I practiced all summer, every single day. I thought for sure I'd make it. But coach said I'm too small." Elena looked at him carefully. "You don't look that small to me. I'm shorter than all the other guys and skinny. Coach picked Leroy Smith instead, and he's way taller." "What's basketball?" Elena asked. Michael stared at her. "You don't know what basketball is?" "We didn't really play it in Puerto Rico. We played baseball mostly. My dad loved baseball." Her voice got quiet when she mentioned her father. For some reason, the fact that she didn't know basketball made Michael feel better. She wasn't judging him. She was just listening. "It's the best sport in the world," Michael explained. "You dribble the ball and try to shoot it through a hoop. The team with the most points wins." "Can you teach me?" Elena asked. "What?" "Can you teach me how to play? I don't have any friends here yet. You seem nice. Even if you were crying." She smiled. Michael felt himself smile back, even though his eyes were still wet. "Yeah, okay, I can teach you." The next day after school, Elena met Michael at the outdoor courts near his house. She'd never held a basketball before. She couldn't dribble without the ball bouncing off her foot. Her shots didn't even reach the rim, but she laughed the whole time, and she kept trying. "You're really bad at this," Michael said, grinning. "I know," Elena laughed, "but you're a really good teacher. Show me again how to shoot." Every day after school, they met at the courts. Elena slowly got better, but Michael got even better teaching her. He practiced harder than ever before, determined to show her new moves, new tricks. Within a month, they were best friends. Elena started coming to watch Michael practice, even when they weren't playing together. She'd sit on the bleachers doing her homework, looking up every few minutes to watch him. "You're amazing, Mickey," she'd say. Mickey, that was her nickname for him. Nobody else called him that. "I'm not that good," Michael would reply. "You are, I can see it. One day you're going to be the best basketball player in the whole world." Michael would laugh it off, but her words made something warm spread through his chest. Elena believed in him when nobody else did. One afternoon in November, Elena showed up at the courts with a present. It was a small notebook with a blue cover. She decorated it with stickers of basketballs and stars. "What's this?" Michael asked. "Open it." Inside on the first page, Elena had written in her careful handwriting, "Michael Jordan's Book of Dreams. Today you will be better than yesterday." Michael flipped through the pages. On each one, Elena had written something different. "You are going to be great. Don't give up. I believe in you, Mickey. The best is yet to come." There were 52 pages, 52 messages of hope. Michael felt his throat get tight. "Elena, I know you got cut from the team. I know it hurt. But my dad used to tell me something before he died. He said, 'Mia, when you fall down, you have two choices. Stay down or get back up stronger. You're going to get back up, Mickey, and I'm going to be right here, cheering for you.'" Michael hugged her. It was the first time he'd hugged anyone except his family. "Thank you. This is the best present anyone ever gave me." By spring, something had changed between them. They weren't just friends anymore. Michael would get nervous when Elena smiled at him. His heart would race when their hands accidentally touched. One warm May evening, they sat under the old oak tree behind Laney High School. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. "Mickey," Elena said softly, "do you ever think about the future?" "Sometimes. I'm going to make the varsity team next year. I'm going to work harder than everyone else. I'm going to prove Coach Lynch wrong." "I know you will. And then what?" "College, maybe, if I'm good enough. Play basketball there." Elena was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "What about us?" Michael's heart stopped. "Us? Yeah, you and me. Do you?" She trailed off, her cheeks turning red. Michael took her hand. It was small and warm in his. "Elena, you're my best friend. You're more than that. You're everything. You're everything to me too, Mickey." They kissed under the oak tree as the sun set. It was clumsy and sweet and perfect. That summer they were inseparable, young and in love in the way only 15-year-olds can be, completely and without fear. One August night, sitting under their oak tree, Michael made his promise. "When I make it big," he told her, holding both her hands, "I'm coming back for you. I'm going to give you something that shows you what you mean to me. Something beautiful." Elena laughed, but her eyes were serious. "You're going to forget all about me, Mickey. You're going to be famous and have a million girls chasing after you." "Never," Michael said fiercely. "I could never forget you. You're the one who believed in me first. You're the one who saw me when I was nobody. I promise, Elena. One day I'm coming back." Elena touched his face gently. "Then I'll wait for you, Mickey Jordan. I'll wait forever if I have to." They carved their initials into the oak tree that night. MJ plus EM. Michael kept the blue notebook Elena gave him. He wrote in it every day, just like she'd written encouraging words for him. He documented his dreams, his struggles, his small victories, and he never forgot his promise. Present day, September 2024. Michael Jordan stood on the porch, staring at the young woman who had Elena's eyes. Coffee dripped from the broken mug at their feet, forming a dark puddle between them. "Please," Michael said quietly, finding his voice. "I need to see her. I need to see Elena." The young woman's hands were shaking. She crossed her arms over her chest like she was trying to hold herself together. You can't just show up after all these years and... I know, Michael interrupted. I know I should have come sooner. I know I don't deserve... Mom's not here. The words came out sharp, cutting him off. Michael felt his stomach drop. Where is she? The young woman studied his face for a long moment. She seemed to be deciding something. Finally, she stepped back from the doorway. You should come inside. Michael followed her into the small house. The living room was tidy but worn. An old couch sat against one wall. Its cushions faded from years of use. Family photos covered every surface. The young woman at different ages, school pictures, graduation photos, but no wedding pictures, no photos of a man, and everywhere hidden among the family photos were pictures of Michael. His breath caught in his throat. There on the bookshelf, a framed newspaper clipping from his first NBA championship. On the wall, a magazine cover from his MVP season. In a scrapbook lying open on the coffee table, dozens of articles all carefully cut out and preserved. She never missed a game, the young woman said softly, following his gaze. Not one. Even the ones that aired at 3 a.m. She'd set her alarm, wake up, and watch you play. Then she'd go to work on 3 hours of sleep. Michael picked up the scrapbook with trembling hands. Page after page of his career, documented like a precious history. Notes written in the margins in Elena's handwriting. His best game yet. So proud. I knew you could do it, Mickey. I'm Sophia, the young woman said. Sophia Martinez. I'm Elena's daughter. Michael looked up sharply. Daughter? I'm 23. Sophia walked to the window, her back to him. Mom raised me by herself. It was always just the two of us. Where's your father? Michael asked, though something in his chest was already tightening with an answer he couldn't quite reach. Gone. He left before I was born. At least that's what Mom always told people. Sophia's voice was strange, controlled. But I don't think that's the whole truth. Michael set down the scrapbook carefully. Sophia, where is Elena? Please. Sophia turned around, and Michael saw tears streaming down her face. Wilmington General Hospital. She's been there for 3 days this time. This time? She has cancer, breast cancer, stage 3. She's been fighting it for 18 months. Sophia wiped her eyes roughly with the back of her hand. She works 2 jobs. Worked 2 jobs, I mean. During the day, she's a nurse at the hospital. At night, she used to clean offices downtown. She had to stop the night job 6 months ago when the treatments got too hard. Michael felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. Elena, his Elena, sick, fighting, alone. The medical bills are crushing us, Sophia continued, her voice breaking. Insurance doesn't cover everything. We've sold almost everything valuable we had. I work full-time and take classes part-time, trying to help. But it's not enough. It's never enough. Why didn't she reach out? Michael's voice came out hoarse. Why didn't she call me? I could have helped. I would have. Because she loves you, Sophia said simply. Because she didn't want to be the person who came back into your life asking for money. Because she has her pride. Because she said you had your own life, your own family, your own world. She said you were from a different lifetime. Michael sank onto the couch, his head in his hands. I've been looking for her for 5 years. I hired investigators. I found her 3 years ago. Sophia's eyes widened. You knew. For 3 years, you knew where she was. And you never... I was still married, Michael said quietly. The second time, it was failing, had been failing for years, but I was still married. I couldn't come to her like that. I couldn't offer her half of myself. So I waited. I watched from a distance. I made sure she was safe, that she had what she needed. What are you talking about? Sophia interrupted. Michael looked up at her. The medical bills. About 6 months ago, didn't someone from the hospital call? Said there was an anonymous donor covering some of the costs? Sophia's mouth fell open. That was you. I couldn't let her suffer. I couldn't do nothing. She doesn't know. We thought it was from the hospital's charity fund. Sophia sat down heavily in a chair across from Michael. You paid her medical bills for 6 months, and she has no idea. My divorce was finalized 6 months ago, Michael continued. I've been planning what to do ever since. how to come back to her, how to make it right, how to keep the promise I made when I was 15 years old. Sophia was crying again. She talks about you constantly, even now, even sick, even exhausted from chemo. She talks about her Mickey. She tells me stories about teaching you basketball, about the oak tree, about the promises you made. She says you were the best thing that ever happened to her. She was the best thing that ever happened to me, Michael said, his own voice thick with tears. She believed in me before anyone else did, before I believed in myself. I need to see her, Sophia. Please, I need to tell her, there's something you need to know first. Sophia stood and walked to a closet. She pulled out an old shoebox, the kind that had held sneakers decades ago. She brought it to Michael and placed it in his lap. Open it, she whispered. Michael lifted the lid. Inside was a treasure trove of memories. The photograph from their 8th grade dance. The original, not the copy in his wallet. Ticket stubs from movies they saw together. A dried flower from the corsage he bought her for the homecoming dance. Letters he'd written to her during his first year of college, before he got too busy, before he stopped writing. And at the bottom, preserved in plastic, was a piece of notebook paper. Michael recognized it immediately, his handwriting from 1979, young and messy. I promise to come back for you. I promise to give you something beautiful. I love you forever. Mickey. His hands shook as he held the paper. She'd kept it. All these years, she'd kept his promise. She made me promise something, Sophia said quietly. When she first got diagnosed, when we thought she might not make it, she made me promise never to contact you. She said you had your own life. She said you'd moved on. She said the past should stay in the past. But, Michael looked up at her, but I don't think she really believed that. I think she's been waiting for you all along. I think every time she watched you play, every time she cut out another article, every time she told me another story about her Mickey, she was hoping you'd remember, hoping you'd come back. Michael carefully placed everything back in the shoebox, except for the promise. He held that in his hands like it was made of glass. There's something else you should know, Sophia said. Her voice had changed, become more uncertain. Something Mom needs to be the one to tell you, but I think you should be prepared. You're coming back. It's going to change everything. Michael looked at her carefully. There was something in her face, something familiar that went beyond having Elena's eyes. The shape of her jaw, the way she stood, something that made his heart beat faster. Sophia, he said slowly, when's your birthday? Sophia met his eyes. June 15th, 2001. Michael did the math in his head. He'd left for the University of North Carolina in August 1981. 9 months before June would be September, right around the time he left. Sophia, he whispered, but she held up her hand. Don't ask me questions I can't answer. Those answers have to come from Mom. She's the only one who can tell you the whole truth. She walked to the door and grabbed her purse from a hook on the wall. I need to get to the hospital. My shift started 10 minutes ago. If you want to come with me, if you want to see her, but I have to warn you, she's not the girl you remember. The cancer, the treatments, they've been hard on her. She's tired. She's thin. She doesn't look like she did in those old photos. Michael stood, still holding the promise paper. I don't care what she looks like. I just need to see her. I need to tell her I'm sorry. I need to keep my promise. Sophia studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Follow me in your car. But Michael, she used his first name for the first time. Don't break her heart again. She's been through enough. If you're not serious about this, if this is just nostalgia or guilt, turn around now. Because seeing you and then losing you again might actually kill her. I'm not going anywhere, Michael said firmly. Not this time. Not ever again. Sophia picked up her keys, then paused at the door. She kept everything, you know. Every newspaper clipping, every magazine article, every game. 43 years of loving you from a distance. 43 years of believing in you. 43 years of waiting. She looked directly into Michael's eyes. Don't let it have been for nothing. Michael followed Sophia's beat-up Honda Civic through the streets of Wilmington. His hands gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles turned white. His heart pounded against his ribs like it was trying to escape. Elena was sick. Elena had cancer. Elena had been fighting alone for 18 months in Sofia, June 15th, 2001. The math kept circling in his head like a basketball spinning on his finger. Could she be his daughter? Was it possible? No. He was getting ahead of himself. Sofia said her mother needed to tell him the truth. He had to wait. He had to be patient. But patience had never been Michael's strength. Wilmington General Hospital was a large brick building on the north side of town. Sofia parked in the employee lot, and Michael pulled in beside her. When he stepped out of his SUV, he noticed people starting to stare. Is that? No way. Michael Jordan? Here? Someone get a picture. Sofia grabbed his arm. Come on, stay close to me. She led him through a side entrance, flashing her hospital badge at security. The guard's eyes went wide when he recognized Michael. But Sofia moved quickly, pulling Michael down a hallway before anyone could stop them. Mom's in the oncology ward, Sofia explained as they walked. 4th floor. She has a semi-private room, but her roommate was discharged yesterday, so she's alone right now. They took the elevator up. Michael's reflection stared back at him from the metal doors. A 51-year-old man who looked terrified. He'd faced down the best defenders in basketball history without blinking. He'd taken game-winning shots with millions watching. But walking toward Elena's hospital room felt harder than anything he'd ever done. The elevator doors opened. The oncology ward was quiet. Soft lighting, pale green walls. Nurses moved quietly between rooms. A few patients shuffled down the hallways in robes, pushing IV poles. Sofia stopped outside room 417. Her hand rested on the door handle. She's probably sleeping, Sofia whispered. The chemo makes her so tired. Sometimes she sleeps 16 hours a day. When she's awake, she's not always herself. The pain medication makes her confused sometimes. I understand, Michael said softly. Do you? Sofia turned to face him, her eyes fierce. Do you really? Because the woman in there isn't the girl you remember. She's not young and healthy and full of dreams. She's sick and scared and in pain. If you walk through this door, you can't unsee that. You can't pretend everything is like it was in 1978. I don't want to pretend, Michael said. I just want to see her. Sofia searched his face for something. She must have found it because she nodded and slowly opened the door. The room was small and sterile. Medical equipment beeped softly. Afternoon sunlight filtered through thin curtains, casting pale shadows across the bed. And there she was, Elena. Michael's breath caught in his throat. Sofia was right. She didn't look like the girl in his photographs. She was thin, so thin the hospital gown seemed to swallow her. Her dark hair was gone, replaced by a simple scarf wrapped around her head. Her skin was pale and dark circles shadowed her eyes. But her face, her beautiful face, was still the same. The curve of her cheek, the shape of her lips, the small scar on her chin from when she fell off her bike, trying to impress him when they were 14. Michael's eyes filled with tears. He walked slowly to her bedside, hardly daring to breathe. In his hand, he still carried a bouquet of daisies he'd bought at the hospital gift shop. Daisies had been her favorite flower. Elena was sleeping, her breathing slow and steady. An IV dripped clear fluid into her arm. A monitor tracked her heartbeat, steady and strong despite everything. Hi, Mom, Sofia said softly, moving to the other side of the bed. I brought someone to see you. Elena's eyes fluttered open slowly. She blinked a few times, confused, trying to focus. Her gaze landed on Sofia first. Mija, she whispered, her voice rough. You're supposed to be at work. I am at work, Mama. I'm on shift. Sofia took her mother's hand. But you have a visitor. Elena turned her head on the pillow, and her eyes found Michael. For a long moment, she just stared. Her expression didn't change. Michael wondered if she recognized him, if the medication had her too confused, if... Mickey? The word came out as barely a breath. Michael's heart broke and soared at the same time. Hi, Elena. Her hand flew to her mouth. Tears immediately filled her eyes and spilled down her cheeks. No, this isn't real. I'm dreaming again. The morphine makes me dream about you. You're not dreaming. Michael set the flowers on the bedside table and knelt beside her bed so their faces were level. I'm really here. I'm really, really here. Elena reached out with a shaking hand and touched his face, her fingers trembling against his cheek. Mickey, she whispered again, you came back. You actually came back. I'm so sorry it took so long, Michael said, his voice breaking. He took her hand in both of his and pressed it to his lips. I'm so sorry, Elena. You came back, she repeated, like she couldn't believe it. Then her eyes went wide and she tried to sit up. Oh no, oh Mickey, no, you can't see me like this. I look terrible. I'm not pretty anymore. I don't have my hair and I'm so thin and... Stop, Michael said gently, pressing her hand to his heart. Elena Martinez, you are the most beautiful thing I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm sick, she protested, tears streaming down her face. I'm dying. You're not dying, Michael said fiercely. Do you hear me? You're not dying, you're fighting. And you're going to win, because you're the strongest person I've ever known. Elena laughed through her tears, the sound weak but genuine. You always were a terrible liar, Mickey Jordan. Michael smiled, wiping his own eyes. I'm not lying, you are strong. You believed in a skinny kid who got cut from the basketball team. You saw greatness in someone everyone else overlooked. That takes strength. That takes vision. That takes courage. I just saw you, Elena whispered. The real you. Not the basketball player. Just you. They sat in silence for a moment, just looking at each other. 43 years melted away. Michael was 15 again, sitting under the oak tree, holding Elena's hand and making promises about the future. How did you find me? Elena finally asked. I've been looking for you for 5 years, Michael admitted. I hired investigators. They found you 3 years ago. Elena's eyes widened. 3 years? Why didn't you come sooner? I was married. It was ending, but I was still married. I couldn't come to you like that. I couldn't offer you pieces of myself. I wanted to come to you free, whole, ready to give you everything. Mickey, Elena said softly, you don't owe me anything. You lived your life. You became everything I knew you would be. I watched every game. I cheered for you. I was so proud. Sophia showed me the scrapbooks, Michael said. All the newspaper clippings, all the articles. You kept everything. Elena's cheeks flushed slightly. I couldn't help it. I needed to know you were okay. I needed to see you shine. Why didn't you ever reach out? Michael asked. All those years. You could have called, written, anything. Elena looked away toward the window. Because you were meant for the world, Mickey. You were meant to fly. I was just the girl who gave you wings. I didn't want to be the anchor that pulled you down. You were never an anchor, Michael said urgently. You were my foundation. You were the reason I kept fighting when things got hard. Every championship, every victory, it was all because of you. Because you believed in me first. I'm glad, Elena whispered. I'm glad I could give you that. Sophia cleared her throat from the corner of the room. I need to check on my other patients. I'll be back in 20 minutes. She looked at her mother, then at Michael. Don't tire her out too much. After Sophia left, Michael pulled a chair close to Elena's bed. He didn't let go of her hand. Tell me about your life, Elena said. Tell me about your family, your children. Michael took a deep breath. I have 3 sons from my first marriage. Jeffrey, Marcus, and Jason. They're grown now. Good men. I'm divorced twice. You probably knew that from the news. I did, Elena admitted. I'm sorry it didn't work out. I'm not, Michael said honestly. Both times I was trying to find what I had with you. Both times I failed because I was looking for someone who didn't exist anywhere else. There's only one Elena Martinez. Elena's eyes glistened with fresh tears. Don't say things like that. Why not? It's true. Because I'm dying, Mickey, and I don't want you to waste your life on a dying woman. You're not dying, Michael repeated firmly. And even if you were, which you're not, I've already wasted 43 years. I'm not wasting another second. Elena tried to laugh, but it turned into a cough. Michael quickly grabbed the water cup from her bedside table and held the straw to her lips. She drank slowly, wincing. The cancer is bad, she said once she could breathe again. Stage 3. The doctors say I have a year, maybe 2 if the treatment works. Then we'll make sure the treatment works, Michael said. I'm going to get you the best doctors, the best care, whatever you need. I can't afford... I can, Michael interrupted. Let me help you, Elena. Please, let me do this one thing. Elena studied his face for a long moment. Why, Mickey, why do you care so much about a girl you haven't seen in over 40 years? Michael pulled out his wallet. From behind his credit cards, he extracted the old photograph. Two teenagers at a school dance, smiling at the camera like they had the whole world ahead of them. Because I never stopped loving you, he said simply. I carried this picture for 43 years. Through college, through the NBA, through 2 marriages and 2 divorces, I carried you with me everywhere I went.